44 Special versus 45 ACP. I always like to compare these cartridges because people often say that they are very similar, and they would be correct on that because we have similar bullet diameters, similar bullet weights, and oftentimes similar energy. So what I have today is the Buffalo Bore Barnes lead-free TAC-XP hollow points. The 45 ACP is a 185 grain plus P. The 44 Special is a 200 grain, and your average rated velocity in 5-inch barrels at Buffalo Bore's website was 1188 out of a 5-inch barrel, and the 44 Special of a 4-inch barrel, they had 1070. So pretty powerful rounds. Now this particular 44 Special has a warning on it to not use in Charter Arms Bulldog revolvers, and Charter Arms is kind of a questionable company because even their 38 Special revolvers say they're not rated for plus P, which is kind of opposite of the industry standard. But anyways, 45 ACP versus 44 Special. A lot of people say, why use 44 Special and get a 44 Magnum? Why not just use that? But they're kind of overlooking some of the practical aspects of it. That's kind of why Ruger came out with a GP 144 Special. The advantage of a 44 Special, most of the advantage is that you can have a round that is rivaling the energy of a 357 Magnum, but your sound decibels are lower than 9mm. So you definitely have a good advantage here if you use something like that. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time with both of these rounds. And as always, we're going to go through our Juggernaut box, which contains a 1 3/4 inch pack of bologna covered by 4 layers of denim, followed by 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. It kind of simulates like a pectoral muscle, followed by ribs or sternum. This kind of represents about 6 inches comparison to gel, and the water jug's about 3. Back of jug 2 compares to about 12 inches. Back of jug 3 about 15 inches, and so forth. So we also have another test here. It is 16 degrees out today, and it has been this cold for a while. These are absolutely solid ice jugs. I'm going to hit these with each of those rounds and just kind of see what happens to them as well. So let's get started with the test with 45 ACP versus 44 Special. All right, first up we have the 45 ACP. Buffalo Bore's website had it about 1188 feet per second average out of a 5-inch barrel, and this is a 5.3 inch, so we should theoretically get around 1200. So let's see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get with the 45 ACP. 1182, 1152, 1164, 1136, 1146, so a little bit less than rated velocity, and that brings up an interesting point. I get a lot of comments on my channel that the cold temperature affects velocity, and I've kind of proven that the opposite for quite a while now. It doesn't. What they're doing is they're looking at information where like a rifle at a long range will have significantly less velocity over a long range, but when it comes to handgun distances, cold weather does not affect velocity at all. So let's see how the 44 Special compares. All right, next up we have the 44 Special. It's rated at 1070 feet per second out of a 4-inch barrel. We'll see how close I get to 1070. 977, 1014, 1015, 1026, 1015. So quite a bit below rated velocity. However, that recoil was almost nothing. It was less than the 45, so pretty pleasant to shoot. Now let's hit the ballistic box and see how these two compare to each other. All right, 45 ACP. Let's see what we get. All right, with our bologna pack, it completely mangled this thing up. Where we're hitting here on the fiberboard where it impacted, it definitely does indicate that it's expanding when it hits this. And our exit hole, very large, just a lot of damage here. Very impressive. Let's see what we got in water jugs. All right, the fact that this jug is torn up as bad as it is definitely an indication that when that bullet hit this, it was fully expanded. The exit hole is just a gigantic rip out the back. Our impact on 2 is just massive. That looks like about like a 9mm on your first jug most of the time. Our impact is drifting a little bit low, but it impacted the jug 3 and it sliced the back a little bit. That's going to indicate about 15 inches comparison to Ballistic's gel. And what we have here is really ideal uniform expansion. Absolutely perfect round, no question. Let's see how that 44 compares. All right, 44 special. We'll see how this compares. All right, here's our baloney pack. It took a big chunk out of the side. It's still intact. And our first jug, this is interesting. Almost as much damage, not quite as much. And our fiberboard, impact's a little bit low, but we're seeing the same thing. Just a huge amount of expansion through that fiberboard. So let's see what we got in water jugs. All right, jug 2. We went straight through that. Jug 3. Here we are. So we have just a little bit more penetration than the 45. Not by much. And what we have here is a little bit of difference here. One side is peeled back. One side is sticking out. It may have hit the box or something like that and kind of bent these back. But I would say overall, we're dealing with about the same performance. So really good so far. Now let's hit the ice jug, those ice jugs with both these, and see how they do. I'm not sure what the effect of hitting an ice jug will be, so I'm going to stand back a little bit further than I normally do, maybe about 7 yards from the box. All right, 45 ACP, let's see what we get. I know it's kind of arrogant to say this, but I had aimed on this little cord because that's kind of where I needed to aim, thinking I wasn't going to hit that, and I easily hit it. So let's see how that ice jug looks. All right, so here's where we impacted it, and it just turned this into it went through. It went straight through this whole thing. It's not expecting that at all. Yeah, it's pretty impressive to go through something like this, because I've shot stuff like this with other calibers. It did not go through. That's interesting. Let's see if I can find that bullet. All right, I did not find that bullet anywhere, so it's probably in the backstop. So let's see how the 44 special compares. All right, 44 special. We'll see what this does. All right, got a nice clean hit. There's a crack out the back, but I don't think it went through. Not quite as much ice debris. And that bullet is in there about 2/3 of the way in. I'm gonna chip that out with the screwdriver and try to show it. And I didn't expect this at all. It expanded perfectly like it hit water, but that was solid ice. That's really interesting. So that's what you get today. 44 special versus 45 ACP. I think, you know, that 44 special round was a lot less powerful than what it said it was, but it was absolutely perfect though. Very low recoil. It felt like a normal 44 special round, where you're not talking the high end ones. It just felt like a 44 special. Very little recoil, about as much recoil as a normal 38 special out of that particular gun. Very, very low recoil. 45 ACP, that seemed like a tremendous round. I didn't have any reliability issues, obviously. Did very, very well. I would definitely carry that round in 45 ACP, considering, you know, some of my malfunction issues I happen to have with Glocks. And if you can find one that functions well for me, it's obviously a very good round. So that's what you get today. 44 special versus 45 ACP, Buffalo Boar Barnes TAC-XP. So as always, comment, share, and like. And thanks for watching. All right, after doing this video, I discovered something that I did not discover the day of filming, but actually another day when I was out to the range, I happened to find one of the brass to this Buffalo Boar round. And I know it goes to this because it's the only brass I have that is stamped what this is stamped, USA 45 Auto, which I believe is arm score. What I happened to find out in the range was this: a significantly bulged case here, right where the chamber of the stock Glock barrel would be. You know, it'd be down here like this, also known as a Glock smile. And this can happen sometimes with really warm cartridges when you're not using a conversion barrel. And that's something to take into consideration, considering, even though this is not a conversion barrel that I use, considering I do get malfunction issues with my 10mm conversion. And I sometimes get a lot of flack for it, saying, oh, you need this, you need that, you should have had a stock barrel. Well, sometimes your stock barrels, they do feed really well, but when you go high end in ammunition, you sometimes get that. So not ideal here. It's not a total blowout, and I did not find any other cases at all to actually compare it to, so I don't know if it's just this one or if it's several. I have all of the 44 brass because obviously it's a revolver. I save them to reload, and I didn't see any issues with that. So this is a little bit warm. I'm not going to write it off as this is necessarily not going to work for you, because even though we saw that right now, I didn't have any malfunctions on the day of shooting. So just something to be aware of. I did contact Buffalo Boar. I have not heard back from them. It's been a few days, but considering how hot this is, they should have used 45 Auto plus P brass, because 45 Auto plus P brass actually is different, where the webbing back here is a little bit right where this bulge. It's sturdier on 45 plus P brass. And they did not use plus P brass, which they should have. So I just thought I would show that. So again, thanks for watching.